What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Pathfinder Wrath of Righteous, episode number 9 of GamerKnoobPlays. Last time we read a lot. This time we're probably going to read a lot more. Let's talk to pink guy over here. Oh no. No pink guy. Alright, what about Sela? Hey there! During that march to the dungeon, we never got a chance to change your proper greeting. It's high time I shake your hand. I'd like to know more about you. Of course, ask anything, I'll answer it honestly. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? I'm a little bit Geb. I'm from Ketapesh, but mostly from the Knights of Iomade. I was accepted and began my training at 14. I belong to their ranks more than I belong to any other place. Come to Medev by a long road, haven't you? A very long one. A traveler is expected to have amusing stories. Unfortunately, I only have 3 tales of any interest, and I like to save them for our next feast. Otherwise, I won't have anything to show you for myself. It's time to start bragging, and that just won't do, especially since I'll win the night with my cautionary tale of a battle with chupacabras. You can't tempt me with a story about fighting chupacabras and then not follow through. What are chupacabras, by the way? Incredibly repulsive magical beasts, fast and dangerous. They can... Well, it looks like someone's fooled me into starting the tale. I guess now I have to tell the whole story. Picture a small town in Kadara, and down in the dungeon there's 2 murderers waiting to be executed. The gallows is already built for them. The rope's been brought, but sometimes life takes a surprising turn. Suddenly, a paladin Iomade appears in the doorway and offers the murderers a deal. If they go through to fight some monsters, they'll live. If they survive, that is. There's a big difference between imminent death and probable death, but a glimmer of hope, wouldn't you say? So here we are traveling through the desert, me and my friend, a priestess of Sarenrae, and along our little ratfolk fellow who'd asked for our help, and 2 cutthroats. We get to the ratfolk village and saw their bodies lying around, all drained dry. We figured we'd have to fight vampires. That's how the little ratfolk described the monsters to attack the village. That's why we went all brazen like. The sun was high and the vampires couldn't attack until dusk. But we never got a chance to look around. Black shadows, quick as the wind, attacked us from all sides. Not vampires, but chupacabras. One of the lads we pulled from the gallows got killed right away. The second one ran for his life. That left me, the ratfolk, and Kira. That was the name of the priestess, and we all steeled ourselves for the fight of our lives. Just when we thought the end had come, with chupacabras surrounding me like a pack of dogs around a bear, and our ratfolk friend wounded and down, and the teeth of the quickest of those blasted monsters was clenching on Kira's shoulders. Right then, we lost all hope. The other lad from the gallows still kept riding back. He kills the beast attacking Kira. I'm sure you know what a turning point in a fight looks like. Well, this was it. A moment before we were lost, and a moment later we had it back under control. The chupacabras dropped dead, one by one. The little ratfolk was reunited with his family, and we're hiding in the basement. Priest and I closed the eyes of that boy from the gallows who saved us. It was a shame he didn't survive the fight. May the gods keep his soul in the journey through the afterlife. There may or may not be Cookie Clicker running in the background. It's a good story. He could have died in disgrace on the gallows, but instead he died a hero. And I'd fancy the stunt earned him some points in his final judgment. It's smart to remember our journey doesn't end in death. Had it not been for that mercy, Milos, that was his name, would have been hanging from a noose, and me and Kira and all the ratfolk would have been dead in the village. Someone told me that kind of deed done by the unkind person that is 100 times more precious. But the same token, an evil done by a noble soul is 100 times more horrifying. That's what I really wanted to say. The chupacabras were just a starting point. When did you become a paladin of Iomade? That's a serious question and a good one. You should ask it of your companions, but it's a long story. To start with, 12 years ago, I was nothing like the person I am now. I roamed the streets of Solkul and other homeless orphans I stole, I fought, and I was hired to sword a bit. Not the proper origin for a paladin, is it? Back then, Solkul was the city of orphans, widows, and widowers. Gnolls decimated the city regularly. My parents were among their victims. People there heard about new deaths before they'd finished mourning their previous losses. One day, knights of Iomade brought a glimmer of hope to our city. But while others saw them as saviors and protectors, I was busy pricing up their noble horses and their gleaming mithril armor, wondering just how much one of those pretty swords could fetch. A thief lives one day at a time, that's what they say. The type that never thought past the next job. Anyhow, I was able to sneak into the knight's camp and steal one of their mithril helms. And as I was right there when a gnoll attacked the helm's owner, Asimi was her name, and dealt a death blow to her unprotected head. A gnoll like all those others she'd fearlessly driven from the gates of Solkul. That one blow was fatal. But who's really to blame for her death, the gnoll attacker or the young thief named Sela? Even a silly small misdeed can have terrible consequences. Yes, you're right. 1,000 times over. I hate to say it, but I didn't just see it back then, and if I had never got that lesson, my eyes would probably have never opened. But who knows, it could have happened to me if it wasn't for Asimi and her bravery, and maybe her death? Maybe the whole world would know Sela was abandoned, not as a knight, and the protector of those in need. There's a saying I like to remember, people rarely find redemption on their own. Someone must show them the way. But you were asking what brought me to the ranks of Iomede's warriors. We all choose the paladin's path for our reasons. Some are guided by nobility of spirit, some by the desire to fight injustice. I became who I am through penance and a debt unpaid. The day Asemi died protecting my city, I wanted to kill myself for the terrible guilt I felt. But then I realized I wouldn't make the world any better and decided that instead I'd try to take her place. I'd become who she had been and protect the innocents that she would no longer be able to protect. What are the well, I'm an Iomade paladin, aren't I? But yeah, what are the principles we follow? I'll tell you, I like to recite our code. It feels like I've said it 1,000 times, but it never gets old. There's strength in these words. I will learn the weight of my sword. Without my heart to guide it, it is worthless. My strength is not in my sword, but in my heart. If I lose my sword, I have lost my tool. If you betray me my heart, I have died. I will have the faith of the inheritor. I will channel her strength through my body. I will shine in her legion. I will not tarnish her glory through base actions. I am the first into battle, and I am the last to leave it. I will not be taken prisoner through my free will. I will not surrender to those under my command. I will never abandon a companion, though I will honor sacrifice freely given. I will guard the honor of my fellows with thought and deed, and I will have faith in them. When in doubt, I may force my enemy to surrender, but I am responsible for their lives. I will never refuse a challenge from an equal. I will give honor to worthy enemies and contempt to the rest. I will suffer death before dishonor. I will be temperate in my actions and moderate in my behavior. I will strive to emulate Iomede's perfection. When Discari attacked Canabras, everything seemed to be lost. The first person I met after the catastrophe was you, my sister in faith. I believe this is a sign that Iomade watches over us. I hope that is true, although to be honest, our mentors used to warn us against being too eager to see messages from the goddess in every little thing. Being devout is all well and good, but you gotta rely on your own head. Thank you, I've learned everything I want to know. But I didn't bore you, ask me something else if you'd like. Irabeth says your friend Jana Aldorai is missing. Do you know what I should look for? Irabeth is worried about her fighters, I understand that. I wanted to look for Jana myself, so I didn't distract you, but since you're in this, too, I could use some help. John and I met in Canabras a few days ago, and we just hit it off. We went drinking together. We went to the unforgettable celebration together, too, but we got separated from the crowd, so we started looking for the main square. That's where I last saw her. John was a good fighter, even if she's green. She couldn't have become an Aldorai otherwise. I hope that means she's alright. What do you think of what's going on in Canabras? It's complete chaos. It's lucky you were here to we're lucky we're here to handle it, right? Does the way I talk bother you? I know I can seem a little blasé. Many good people in our own protector Turindala have died here in Canabras. Paladin of Iomade is expected to be properly respectful and solemn. But I prefer to face my troubles with a smile and a bit of common sense. Grief is a weapon they'll use against you. It can undermine a warrior's spirit. It's better we hold off on grief until we've driven the last demon and cultists from the city. There's wisdom and traditions of mourning, and one shouldn't reject them, all the more so if it's an appropriate merriment could offend the mourners. No, I'm not bothered by how you talk, so I don't want to be a chaotic, but I'm not bothered by how I talk. What matters is how you fight. Now you're talking sense, well, you can trust my sword. Is fighting demons all you want, or are you looking for something more? How about covering myself in glory and becoming a hero of 100 ballads, or at least a dozen, if they're lively ones? Anyway, to be more serious, the area around the Worldwound is the best place for the paladin who wishes to defend the weak and serve good. Being part of crusade is rewarding for me, but there's something that worries me. I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing my brothers in arms, but the Eagle Watch and the others are focused on just one aim, the war against the Worldwound. That's why they can sometimes overlook the smaller things, ordinary misfortunes, you know? I always like being a wandering knight, because at any moment I could get up and go help a poor rat folk whose family had been kidnapped, or an old woman whose favorite dog had gone missing. So here's my answer. I don't have some big important goal, but I'm happy to help those in need, a little bit here and a little bit there. Thank you for speaking with me. Until next time. Sure, see ya. If I pause every once in a while, it's because I'm clearing my throat after talking so much. I slowly am dying. Hey Lord, hi. Tall, athletic man greets you, his hair prematurely gray and shorn close to his head in a mid-to-later style. He's lean and well-groomed, and a monocle twinkles in his bolt set of his eye. The bolts of his jaw, his large agile frame, attest to the man who is ready to move. Greetings, I am Hiller, venture captain of the Pathfinder Society. I'm a superior officer among the Pathfinders in this region of Undead. However, the Society is running almost no operations here right now. Besides me, there are almost no Pathfinders here. Actually, I'm only stuck here because of an old feud with a demon worshipper known as the Spinner of Nightmares. I had to work alone, without the support of the Society, but I made a lot of acquaintances among the local mercenaries and daring fighters. If you need any good fighters with an honest cause, talk to me. Tell me about your confrontation with the Spinner of Nightmares. It all began with the task of the Pathfinder Society. I had arrived in Nereson with my team to investigate the sudden death of the famous crusader Baron Falrun. We soon focused in on a small hospital for the wealthy, where Falrun himself had been treated shortly before his death. It turned out it was a gang of Baphomet's cultists calling themselves the Labyrinth of Mind had gotten a foothold at the hospital. They were obsessed with twisting minds of their victims and targeted fragile people too. Too weak to resist. The hospital was filled with perfect victims, isolated for weeks from the outside world, completely helpless, and when they returned, they were different, almost normal. But the moment they heard a certain phrase, something dark awoke in their mind. They transformed into the servants of Baphomet, ready to lie, betray, and even kill. The Labyrinth of the Mind was preparing to infiltrate all the elite circles of Undead, but Baron Falaron stopped them. He was too loyal to his ult and too resilient to their spells. He fought for his freedom until the strain broke his heart. We opened and cleaned the city of Baphomet's pit of vipers, their den of his cradle of sin and filth. They cast spells on each other, and their loathsome fantasies stepped real from their minds into the world. They dreamt of horrible, forbidden things, and they fought like mad. We burned the place to the ground and slaughtered everyone we could, but the leaders of the cult were able to flee, and they set upon revenge. They abducted my daughter, Lori, who served under my command of the Pathfinder Society. They left me a note full of tart insults, mockery, and sneers. From the note I learned the name of my enemy, the Spinner of Nightmares. Months later, I confirmed that she was the leader of the Labyrinth of Mind. My hunt began. I would get Lori back at any cost. I want to know more about you. Exactly you're interested in. I'm a common Pathfinder. There are many like me. Fate and my order brought me here to this land. How'd you end up here? I was working an assignment and working merchant Spinner Night. I abducted my daughter Lori. For the past 3 years, I've been trying to save her. During this time, I've become a specialist in scouting demon territory. I've even planted agents among the cultists. Truth be told, in the pursuing of the Spinner of Nightmares, I've been acting more on the behalf of Queen Galfrey than the Pathfinder Society. It's a long story, maybe I'll tell the rest sometime. Spinner of Nightmares is a true spawn of the Abyss. I fought her many times, but I've never been able to seize her by the throat. Tell me about your daughter. As a girl, Lara was just an angel. We lost her mother early on. She was left to follow my example, a drifter with little idea how to talk to a 10-year-old girl. But even with such questionable parenting, Lori managed to grow into a wonderful girl, brave, smart, and beautiful, and entirely unbearable. She always argued with me about everything. When Lori was 18, she told me she was going to be a Pathfinder. All I said was, all right. I knew there was no use trying to talk her out of it, and she was a Pathfinder. I'll never forgive the Spinner of Nightmares for taking my girl away from me. Tell me where the Pathfinder Society. Pathfinder Society is a global organization that unites opportunists and adventurers of all kinds to explore the world and uncover its secrets, travel, and sometimes face down threats. In times of trouble, the latter becomes our primary focus. We're driven by curiosity and the desire to make the world a better place, and of course, some seek profit or hunger for glory. But in any case, it's hard work. They might send you anywhere on a mission. Weaklings have little place in the society. It's more for seasoned fighters. There are society lodges in many cities. The closest one is in Neroson. They're each led by adventure captains, lads like me. The Grand Lodge is in Absalom, in the center of the world. The Decemvirate sits there in the anonymous councils of our leaders. No more questions. These are brave, experienced fighters. Freedom of Abundant. That come out of money right now. Sorry, but societies establish universal rates. I won't be doing this most likely on this playthrough. I'll be using the pre-made people or the story companions. But companions and I need good training. I will get a great mentor from Absalom for the first time to train your fighters free of charge. Oh, this is for retraining. Oh, cool. I have to go. Well, look, watch your back out there. Only trust your closest friends. The enemy is cunning and treacherous. Neat. What's this? Oh, this is the Spinner of Nightmares. Okay. The Spinner of Nightmares let out a fiendish laugh, and the wind rose up, sending the sound rippling across the roof of the cavernous temple and off into the darkening sky. You cannot protect them. The demon worshiper performed a graceful pirouette, as though she were mocking the ungainly venture captain who was slowly picking his way across slippery roof tiles. You may have saved Anthoclitus today, but you won't save everyone who gets in my way. I will always be one step ahead, plunging a dagger into the heart of the next fool and sullying your path with blood that you'll never be able to wipe clean. Healer lost his footing once again, and only by a miracle he did not go plummeting to his death. His heart threatened to beat right out of his chest, but his mind was consumed by the feverish awareness of how close he was to his target. Only a few dozen paces separated him from the Spinner of Nightmares, close enough to shoot, but the venture captain wanted to be sure the bolt wouldn't kill her, merely maim and immobilize her. The hand crossbow that Healer concealed under folds of his cloak were throwing off his balance. The jigs up, the Spinner of Nightmares, the venture captain leaned forward as though trying to catch his breath, a diversionary tactic designed to weaken the vigilance of the villain, who seemed to be waiting for something on the peak of the roof. You have one chance to save your pathetic life. Surrender now. The Spinner of Nightmares froze as if considering the captain's word before lunging forward like a snake and spitting with contempt. You will never see her again. Click, twang, the whistle of a bolt released from the cradle and the swish of the Spinner's Nightmare's cloak as she dodged the shot, laughing. Lou let out a bellow, pouring all of his hatred and despair into the shout, dashing forward and slipping on the roof, tumbling to his knees. Gripping a jagged roof tab with his last remaining strength, the venture captain swallowed a grunt of pain and raised his head, only to watch his daughter's abductor be swept away on the black wind. I'll find you, the Spinner of Nightmares, Hiller's shout seemed to carry far and wide across the whole of Mindev. I'll find you, and I'll tear out your duplicitous heart. Alright, Irabeth. Any success? How's the city? So Tiefling changed the Defender's heart. What can you tell me about him? Wolsjif is a petty thief from the gang of Tieflings operating Canabras, so we call him in the past. They tried to rob the vendor of magical items recently. Unfortunately, we operated only one of them. The rest managed to escape. We know where else to keep him apart from the Defender's heart, but it's hardly a prison. Wolsjif knows it too. He's been begging us for days to let him go free or to have someone vouch for him. He's already asked you to put in a good word for him, hasn't he? If you want to recruit Wolsjif and put him to good use, go ahead and take him off the guard's hand. We can't ill afford to let a soldier spend their days watching over a middling thief. I hope the Thieflings proves useful to you should you decide to take him along. It's our main objective. You heard that the demons said they're going to desecrate the Wardstone and blow up the whole barrier around the Worldwound. That'd be even worse disaster than the Worldwound's expansion before the Second Crusade. Not only Canabras, but every city with a Wardstone will be destroyed, including the capital. We can't allow that, no matter what. We retake it, even destroy it if we must. Iomede's gift must not become a weapon to the abyss. These Wardstones, what are they? They're our greatest treasure. They shield given to us by Iomede herself and placed in Canabras and other Mendavian cities and the fortresses held by her herald. The chain of Wardstones form a protective barrier that stops the expansion of the Worldwound and keeps the demons from moving beyond its borders. I shudder to think what will happen if that barrier falls. I'm going to ask a few personal questions. Please, but I must warn you, there are some things that I don't have the right to discuss. Where are you from? I was born in Canabras. I grew up on a farmer's town outside of it, but my way back home lay at the end of the long and winding road. It took me years of traveling through foreign lands before I came back to where I've always belonged. How'd you become a paladin? Don't like to remember it much, believe it or not. The story of how I became a paladin is also the story of how I failed to become a knight. My parents were crusaders, may their soul stand together in Iomede's celestial army. When I was born, they retired from the war and started preparing me to continue their legacy, but my father was an orc. You'd be pressed to find a calmer, wiser, and more pious servant of the goddess than he, but still, all his life was dogged by sideways looks and whispers. When I grew older, and it was time for me to serve, I decided anywhere but Canabras. That was where my father had served loyally, and his only reward had been injustice. Besides the witch hunters led by the honorable prelate Holrun stalked the city with a heavy hand. Who knows what they had done to a strange girl with green skin? Instead, I went to... you can laugh if you want, but I was young and foolish. I chose the last wall of all places. You can imagine how well I was accepted in the country that have been battling the orcs of Belkins since its foundation. There were many like me, but we were all treated as second-class citizens. To locals, my green skin was worse than leper scabs. Even my brothers in faith kept their distance. I took my vows, and the goddess granted me powers of the paladin, but even then, not a single order would accept me into their ranks. It took another 6 months knocking on doors before I realized the simple truth. I serve Iomede, not these people. I don't have to prostrate myself before them, so I left as a paladin, not as a knight. It's probably hard for you as a human to imagine what it's like when the color of your skin and the fangs in your mouth make people in the street turn on a heel to avoid you. I meant no offense, of course. How'd you come to join a knightly order? I left last wall and went traveling. The goddess guided me, and my path led me to where atrocities were happening. I often fought in the exchange for gold, but never for unworthy aims. Of course, I wandered the river kingdoms for a few years, killing monsters and tracking down criminals. Sometimes I thought I was just wasting time, that my true place was in Canabras, but I pushed those thoughts away. I didn't even want to think about going back, but in the end, divine providence has brought me to my senses. It happened in time when I was tracking a gang of bandits, which my employer suspected was a cover for Resmiran spies. I managed to find their lair, but inside I found something far more dangerous than spies, an unholy temple to Zal and Kuthon. When I broke in, there were cultists were about to sacrifice someone, the person who was destined to become my wife, Anivia, but that's another story. You already know that story. After I cut down the cultists, I examined their papers and couldn't believe my eyes. A network of evil cults had spread all through Amistan, including Mendev. Worse, the documents clearly show that their allies, the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth, have invested in my native Canabras, and were even among the ranks of the paladins. After that, delaying my homecoming would be a tantamount to desertion. Luckily, no longer alone, Anivia was eager to destroy the cultists as I was. Anivia and I hurried to Canabras. We couldn't trust anyone. The papers indicated the cultists had infiltrated everything. Luckily, I had some experience in investigation, and my beloved, she knew her way around working locks, tailing people and trading information with the city's bottom feeders. Soon we defeated, alas, the whole Hydra, but a few of its heads. Do you know who turned out to be the leader of the cultists? It was the commander of the Eagle's Watch. Can you imagine? While Prelate Holrun was chasing witches through the city, the enemy had infiltrated the very order responsible for internal security. The scandal reached the ears of the Queen. First she planned to disband the order in disgrace, but then she offered its command to me and put its salvation in my hands. Of course, there was one small catch. I wasn't a knight, but I was made commander just the same, skipping the usual progression of her ranks. How do people Canabras feel about your background? They tolerated it surprisingly well. I shouldn't have been so wary. Crusaders don't tend to be prejudiced as a rule. After all, heroes from all over the world, even from other continents, come here to fight the demons. Apparently, the people were only suspicious of full-blooded orcs. There were already many here like me, and we don't have any problems, so the locals do have their superstitions. Mendev is just as merciless as Last Wall. They just have a different set of victims. Kept seeing the same sideways looks and scowls, hearing familiar whispers, but where once they were used to whisper behind my back and point at me, now they whisper in my ear and point at someone else. It's so strange to be on the other side of humiliation, to wipe the spit from your face and suddenly be invited to change position and spit in someone else's. You must have figured out by now that I'm talking about Thieflings. It's true that many of them are among the cultists and few among our crusaders, and our fighters do all they can to drive away those who would be allies. People shun them and call them a Rulu spawn or worse. as if they chose to be born like that. I believe it's quite a feat to rise against the call of one's blood and join the forces of good. Still, most only see them as the enemy. I once saw a knight bleeding to death because he wouldn't let a tiefling priest touch his wound. Last I have been able to change that in all my time at Knobber's. Tell me about Anivia. We met in Timon as I was wandering aimlessly from one ordeal to another. We returned to Knobber's together to expose the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth. The day the Queen knighted me was the second happiest day of my life. The first was the day of our wedding. But Anivia just isn't my beloved. She's my staunchest ally. We share every victory and defeat. The best of me is alive thanks to her. You were saving her back there. Back then, the day the Knobber's fell before her return, the only thing giving me strength to protect the Defender's heart was the hope I'd see her again when you're dead. Thank you for your answers. Tell me about the Eagle's Watch. A small order created to fight not only demons, but also the enemy within, to maintain the purity of the paladin ranks, prevent his heresy, and identify spies, and it failed miserably at that. The Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth infiltrated it and formed their nest within its ranks. After the Queen entrusted me with leading the order, Anivia and I had practically built it from scratch. We got rid of the dead weight. People who weren't committed we organized to transmit messages and orders safely. We introduced reliable ciphers. We found tacit allies around the city, from crusaders orders to street beggars. This was my personal crusade to purge the city of Templars who had infested it, and I thought I was winning. I could feel it. We were so close to driving the cultists out of Knobber's. It's hard to admit, but the successes didn't count for much once the demons entered the city. On the contrary, if it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be a headquarters at the Defender's Heart. The cultists would have served up the city on a platter to the demons. Yes, that's true. It's a good thing we achieved something. Thank you. I have to go. May Aomade keep you safe. Okay. I think I have talked to everybody in here. Let's go sell some more stuff. Oh. I just have many things to be selling, I think. Oh, I'm pretty sure these identified when we came here, by the way. Yeah, look at that. So we got free dancer's boots, +2 competence bonus on saving throws. Ooh. We got silver tongue, +2 competence bonus on persuasion checks. Nice. And headband of alluring charisma, +2 on charisma. Nice. I don't think I need those. Sell those. Alright. Deal. Let's look to equip these new things, shall we? Also, I want to put this in forge, you know, just in case, because this is a masterwork and this is a cold iron. So I just want to make sure that I can switch to a cold iron if I need to until I get a better weapon. Alright, so we got boots. Let's go ahead and equip those on. Now, do you have a necklace? You don't have a necklace. There we go. I'm going to give you the persuasion check bonus, and we'll give you the charisma helm, and I love that it goes on him. It looks so nice. And that, we'll do that. Alright. Let's go talk to that tiefling down in the basement, shall we?
Let's move!
After over an hour of reading. Because I did this episode pretty much back to back with the other one. What's up, Olaf?
Well, Chief, what do you got for me?
Talk to Airbeth and I decided to make you part of my troop. We'll see how it goes.
You must be a smooth talker. Come on, Delvin. Get these bracelets of yours off me. I'm going free.
You're sure to regret this. This tiefling will fleece you for everything you've got. Mark my words.
You're a bitter little man, Delvin. Petty and mean. You can't even be happy for me, can ya? I pity you. I'll leave you alone with your sad little soul. So long. And now, Chief, straight down to business. You see, I'm one of those guys that people around here call Thieflings. We just call ourselves the family. After we knocked over that shop and I got stuck here in the Defender's Heart, a little bird told me that big sister Charisme wanted to see me. That she had some questions to ask me. You following? Now, she won't be asking me questions like, Woljif, how'd you manage to get out of this one? Or, Woljif, you're so thin, didn't they feed you? No, something serious has gone down and I just know they want to try to pin something on me. I can feel it in my tail. So I knew right away that I couldn't go alone. You turned up just in time, Chief. You don't need to do anything when we get there. Just stand behind me and look mean, and I'll handle the rest. Somehow. Let's go. I'll show you the way.
Alright, we've got a new companion. Awesome. Hopefully he turns out to be a good one. He seems to be, he's obviously going to be like a thief. So I'm assuming he's a rogue. Goodbye. Oh, is he gonna be up here to talk to now too? Oh god. Also, wait a minute. I identified bracers of armor +2. Oh, are they on? Is he where? Oh, he's using them. Okay. I mean, you know, you really need those? Oh, that obviously doesn't go on you then. Oh, they only work. Right. Oh, come back then. That's fine. You look like you're like a melee fighter. You have a masterwork dagger. Okay. You're level 3. You're a tiefling. You're an eldritch scoundrel. Students the arcane magic, legerdemain, and stealth. Others kind of a rare breed adventurer, most commonly found seeking lost and valuable arcane writings. Arcana, knowledge, mobility, perception, stealth, trickery, medium D. Okay. Sneak attack, strike finding. Okay, yeah. Scoundrel. Just pickpocket, evasion. Weakening wound. When making a sneak attack against the creature's DR, the character's attack reduces that DR. Okay, nice. Danger sense, yeah. Charge, coup de grace. Resist, so that's normal for him, okay. Just seeing all the things that he got. Oh, he can craft scrolls, nice. He's got a little bit of magic, okay. Okay, cool. We got like a magic guy now in our party, that's nice. Did he come up here to talk to? He did, alright. Sela has 2 bonuses of the same type of armor class. They don't add up, only the biggest bonuses apply. I fixed that though, right? Yeah, I did. Hey Chief, wanna chat? I want to know more about you. How much is more? Are your family tieflings too? My family's an interesting story actually, but I don't tell it to just anyone. When my father and my mother had a bakery for their life was great, but the gods never blessed them with any children. One day my mother went to the river to wash some clothes and saw a basket floating downstream. Inside the basket was a baby, adorable and chubby and fast asleep. It was yours truly. In my hand was a note, spritzed with an expensive perfume that said, "Take care of my little angel." My mother brought me home, and she and my father realized right away that I was heaven sent. They raised me as their own. When I turned 15, my mother showed me my baby blanket. It was embroidered with the coat of arms of an unknown kingdom, all in gold thread. Ever since then, I've been looking for my real parents. Not easy. Traveling takes money, so if you have a few gold coins, I'll pay you back as if I were your family. Give me a word. Doesn't sound very believable. Seriously? Everyone usually just believes everything I say. People love stories like that, you know? Cute baby, a basket, a blanket. What's not to love? They look at me differently, as if I'm more than just because the sheets I spit up might have had a fancy coat of arms on them. If I was really a prince, wouldn't be sitting around here, I can tell you that much. I've already gone to take what was rightfully mine, and then I'd come back with an army so that I could watch the guards and merchants who pushed me all around my life balance straight before me. That's not going to happen. Want to hear the real story? True story is my family. My true story is boring. My family is human, both my father and my mother. They used to live in a village nearby, I forget the name. When my mom had me, the old man got so mad she almost killed her. Pinned her to the wall and started asking questions like, why did his son have horns and a tail? Well, my mom told him that her mother, my grandma, used to fool around with a demon. When he heard this, Dearest got drunk, trashed the house, and then took off. I don't remember any of this, of course. My grandma told me I was about 3 years old when my mother brought me to Canaver since she left with my grandma. She said to her, "You and your demon have ruined my life, now you handle him." Then she left. I haven't seen her or my dad since. She did leave a blanket though, and that part was true, but my grandma burned it because it was infested with lice. It wasn't even as good enough to use as a rag. I think after all that, my grandmother saw the light, felt rightly ashamed, and kissed my horns. I wish. I used to give her trouble for fooling around with a demon. She wasn't welcome anywhere, and she got angry. Normal kids get bedtime stories, CB, and I was only told tales. The only tales I got told were how my dad was worthless, my mom was a slut, and I was demon spawn who no one cared about. She only kept me so I could keep help around the house and steal things when she needed. So there's the truth. Tell me the real story of your family. Oh, well, we already did that. How'd you become a tiefling? I was already a tiefling, and I made a life as a thief. I've been in the business since I was a kid. My grandma used to say, if you don't work, you don't eat, and she gave me an apprentice to Ygir, a tiefling of our neighbor of ours. He was a cunning old geezer. He knew how to take a purse off somebody's belt, how to cut open bags and detect it, and even how to do some magic. I used to climb through the basement windows and open doors from the inside while I was small enough. And when I grew up and stopped fitting through the windows, I decided I was done with my education. I repaid my grandma for everything she'd done for me, which is absolutely nothing. Why would I feed her if she wasn't bringing me any money? If you don't work, you don't eat, so I took off. I got bored of my teacher too, but when I was as much as hinted as leaving, he said I owed him for my education, so I just nodded, and then I joined the Owlbears, the gang that ran our district, and told them that Yeager was working their territory. Don't know what happened to him, but I stayed with the Owlbears, and their leader started giving me the cold shoulder. I did steal from him, but never that much, so I had to rat them out to the guards. Then I joined the Golden Hands. That was a good time, rich pickings. I would stay with the Golden Hands, but the Northmen promised me a bigger cut if I told them where the Golden Hands kept their loot. I'm no fool, of course, I told them. After all, I only had one option, to join the Northmen, and then the family came. At first, no one took them seriously, calling them Thieflings and all that, but I felt it right away. They had power behind them, and they had more money. I'm always on the winner's side, Chief. That's why I joined the Thieflings. And right now, some thugs came, and right on time, some thugs came to the capital and made the Northmen leave. The ones who survived are in the family now, too. Tell me about the Thieflings. Alright, I won't tell you everything, but I can tell you a little. The Thieflings are Mendivian thieves. The gang was started in Mendev's capital by someone or other, and soon they've been spread all over Galorium. They're also called the family. You know why? Because us Tieflings are easy to spot. Wherever we go, guards always hassle us, asking, "Are you lost or something, Hornhead?" And we usually say we're visiting family, and if they say, "Oh yeah, who?" you give them the name of the local Thiefling, who confirms everything, even if he's never seen you before in his life. That's why we're all brothers and sisters. The rules are... these are the rules. Who does what, who gets the cut. I won't say it's a lot, but they make it worth your while. They'll even heal you if you take an arrow, but the biggest no-no is that you don't steal from the family. If you don't contribute to the shared pot, you'll get the cold shoulder and you won't be treated like family no more. And then everyone will hear that you went to visit some relatives who have a farm someplace. My best guess, the farm is some underground well beneath Canabras where they breed grave worms. If my sister Kirizame, our boss, looked the other way more often, I'd really be able to spread my wings. Stealing from someone you call a sister, that's low. Birds fly low before a storm. I'm just surviving as best as I can. Imagine the situation, Chief. You're 7 years old, you come home and your own grandma, your family is lying there drunk and there's no food because she got wasted in the morning and didn't cook anything. And you know that she has a stash under the 3rd floorboard. You take this money so you don't starve to death, and then when she wakes up, she beats you because you shouldn't have taken it and you should have stolen some food. You're a waste of space. That's something you can never understand, Chief. You only care about moral choices and you know what's right and what's wrong. Brother, sister, grandma, mother. In real life, they're just words. What do you think of Canabras? Used to be such a hole, and the Crusaders and refugees came here and things started looking up, although it depends on who you ask, I suppose. Which is better steer clear of here because Iomede's followers are ferocious, especially Horrun Shappa, the local inquisitor. He's a tough old goat. I didn't see it myself, but the servant girl at the tavern told me that her second cousin's son from the 3rd wife is a paladin, and she said he saw. So that Horrun takes an unsheathed sword with him even to the privy, and when he sleeps he puts it on the pillow next to him, and when he's in his cups he strokes the blade and whispers sweetly to it. You're my one true friend, you're the only one I can rely on. You're best giving us a hard time, too. As much as look at the nice little bauble before you can think of taking it, your fingers even twitch. She's coming for you with nostrils flaring and her fangs glinting. Scary woman. But even then she's better than Sister Kirizame, our boss here in Canabras. By our I mean Thieflings boss. If you get caught by Erebeth, it's all in the open. You go to prison, you end up as worm food. If you step on Kirizame's toes, poof, you're gone, just like that. No one ever sees you again. All you'll hear is you went to the family farm, even though he's never had a family or a farm. You have demon blood in you. Do you feel drawn to the abyss? Why, are you an inquisitor or something? What's it to you? If I've wronged you somehow, just come out and say it. Don't ask me trick questions. I know how it happens. I used to know a fellow who was married to a sister of the guard. Some shady types got him drunk one night and started asking him suspicious questions about the gods, about the queen. So he wakes up hungover with a headache. Someone's mumbling something. It smells like smoke and his feet are kind of hot. He looks down. There's a fire under him. The prelate is reading out a sentence. Shadow looks strange. What kind of magic is that? Ladies and gentlemen, roll up, roll up. No dark magic, no fraud. A trick without deception. The shadow that previously been lying at his feet calm grows in the hair. Ta-da! It doesn't do anything, it just looks scary. Remember when I was little, an old beggar showed me and my friends how to make shadow puppets. You put your fingers together in front of the light and it makes the shadow of a deer or a dog or a dove on the wall. I tried so hard, I wanted to make the best shadow. And I did. It just happened. Funnily enough, that's the last time I had any real friends. They tried to steer clear, to stone me later, screaming at me, calling me a demon. A tiefling is always a demon to these wimps. Even the lowest ranking drunken gnome thinks he's better than me just because he hasn't got horns or a tail, but the poorest beggar in the filthiest gutter thinks he's better than me. Most people would never show their shadow again after the first time, but I don't care. If the stones start flying again, I'll just run. I'm used to it by now. Looks formidable. I like it. It's a harmless illusion, but you shouldn't show it to anyone. People don't hate what they understand. I don't want to be chaotic, but I like this. People hate what they don't understand. It's not the strangest thing I've ever seen. Oh, well, here I was thinking I'd impress you. Thanks for not dragging me in front of the paladins, at least. They already know me. I've been brought to them before. I remember the paladins standing around me looking inside for traces of evil. They couldn't find any and they let me go. Tell me about your shadow again. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry, it's just fun to watch that. Enough, I want to ask you about something else. I have to go. Let's talk later. Whatever, free to do as you please. Alright. I believe that is everyone. I don't want to head out this outside door. I want to head out the one in the basement because it's more unique. Who knows what might be outside the basement?
Follow me.
Alright, you ready? Let's go, finally. We step outside. Okay. Turns out coming out of that didn't do much. So we go to the area exit. To the tavern, area exits. Okay. Anything around here?
March on.
Sure in vain. A new face of the city. You picked a good time to come to Canabras. As you can see, we're needing warriors. Do you know everyone in Canabras by sight? No, not everyone, but I might invest in other people who might need my services. The blacksmith's worth it. Work isn't just at the anvil, you know. You Staunton Vane's brother. Yep, where he goes, I go. That's how we've always done it, even for the Worldwound. I forged the army, goes into battle and breaks it. He brings it back to me, and I repair it and make it better than before. Everything's changed since then, of course, but the party has stayed the same. Do you recognize this sword? Do I recognize it? Of course, I made this with my own hands. There's my brand, you see? Oh, again, all the things may have been tough without you, but at least we still got your sword. That's something. In battle, ordinary swords get blunted, they break, but sometimes a weapon can preserve. I don't know how to explain it, I'm no authority on these things, but something like an echo of the deeds done with that weapon, more like the reflection of the wielder's soul, I don't know. I will say one thing, you take care of that sword. You know may no longer be with us, but the demons will still remember why they need to turn tail and run when they see radiance. Oh, the scabbard's all worn. We can't be having a fine sword like this carried around in the titty thing. I'll make you a new one if you like. The city stands strong and we both survive. Come see me again and I'll have it ready, no charge. I was Stan to blame to the fall of Dresden. I've told this story many times already, but we'll tell it one more time, won't kill me. Dresden was built after the first crusade back when it seemed like victory was ours for the taking and that the demon invasion would soon be at an end. The population of the old Socorus was thoroughly diminished and many of them hoped to see their hard fighting repaid with a small plot of unclaimed land. Dresden was a fortress built on all our hopes and on Mendev's ambitions, though you're not supposed to say that out loud. What a city it was, you can't even imagine. It was built by the finest engineers from the Five Kings Mountain. Queen Galfrey spared no expense. Dresden was meant to be the capital of the crusade movement, a monument to its glory and a beacon of hope for all of Gloria. Heroes are drawn there to seek fame and glory, and they came from all over. Taldor, Gorund, Tianzia, Tianjie, I don't know, couldn't list them all. A relic known as the Sword of Valor was kept there, and the banner that had been carried into battle by Iomade herself back when she was still human. The banner protected the city and kept the demons from teleporting inside its walls as long as the banner was in place, and Dresden was invincible, or so we thought. So the Worldwound suddenly expanded, the demons launched a new onslaught, and folks started saying that it was time to declare the Second Crusade. Dresden was unassailable, until one young officer attempted by a beautiful young woman. She convinced him that the banner shouldn't be hanging in the city, and that its rightful place was on the battlefield. She whispered honeyed words about glory and valor, and convinced him that its rightful place was, convinced him that he could be great as a hero as great as Iomade herself. And the poor fool believed her, rounded up some of his hot-headed friends, and carried the banner outside the city gates on unauthorized foray. The demons slaughtered them within seconds, but for some reason the courageous ringleader was spared. The whole army teleported into Dresden. It was a bloodbath. As you can guess, the officer was called Staunton Vane, and the woman turned out to be a demon. Not just any demon, it was Monago, that foul wretch. She'd given us a lot of grief in Canabras too. Just don't ask me what I was doing while my brother was off having tryst with that beast, and why I didn't save him from his own stupidity. Who would have guessed it would end like this? I failed my brother, that's the truth. I try to blame myself every day looking at his plight, so that's the story. Why do you have your forge here in the tavern yard? Wherever I am, that's where my forge is. A true master of craft will always find the tools they need. I miss my old forge, of course, but now it's just a pile of charred stone and metal. I still got my hands on what means I can work. Show me what you have. Alright, what do you got? Anything good. Tower shield's always nice. What are you currently wearing? You're wearing scale mail at the moment, which is pretty good because it's not heavy armor, it's medium armor, which doesn't limit your movement. And you're wearing half plate. Heavy shield +1. Nice. Perception checks might be good to pick that up, but it's 6,000. That's expensive. Deceiving Facade. Armor of Vigilance. Living Ram. Ooh. Detainer. The Detainer. Nice. The merry-go-round. It's funny. Butcher the Undead. Alright, well. A lot of masterwork stuff. Getting a phone call, guys. 1 second. Alright, sorry, we're back. Let's see. Anything interesting other than the masterworks? Cold Iron. Oh, Cold Iron Masterwork. This could be nice. Do you have a Cold Iron Masterwork? No, you don't. Dang. I was hoping for a Cold Iron Masterwork, great sword. But no. Alright. Well, you got a lot of cool stuff, for sure.
Onwards.
What's over here? Loot. Don't mind if I do. Citizens, survivors, nobles. All sorts of people. We're just going around grabbing the loot that we can find, honestly. What's this? It's been sanctified and can protect the area from corruption. Oh, nice. Good. Anything up here? I just want to find the loot, you know. It's a nice little place they've set up. Back down. Back down. We're pretty much done with this episode already anyway. We're just kind of finishing up exploring the area real fast. Just to see if we can find any more loot. There's no one else to talk to, it looks like. Which I'm okay with. I am thoroughly okay with that. Nothing at all back there. Alright, anything up on the roof again? Maybe I found something on the roof before. Maybe we'll find something again. You never know. Doesn't look like it. Alright, let's go sell the junk we just picked up to this man. And I think we'll probably call it a day. I'm gonna move my heels, by the way. Alright. Show me your wares. Bulk selling, there you go. Sell the baby dagger. Cool. Deal. Alright. Next time around, we'll finally be heading out, guys, but that's gonna do it for me. See you guys in the next one. Peace! Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. If you've got anything to say, go to the comments below, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscription button and the bell. If you want to see more, check out this video down here. Thank you so much for watching. Peace!